I'm Tom Sosnoff. He's Tony Batista. And we have a George Burciaga in the house today. This is our, hey, George, how are you?
Pretty good.
Welcome to Get Tasted and Tasty Trade, and we're very honored to have you here today, so thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We do a segment we try to do it just about every day. We call it Bootstrapping in America. And one of the reasons we do this is because when we started out in this business, the last frontier was for guys like us to go walk down the trading floor, kind of,
take out $2,500 and see if we can make a career out of it.
That's right.
It hasn't changed.
That was entrepreneurship back in 1980. Now we fast forward to 2000 and this decade, 2010, 2012, and entrepreneurship is something very different. And you seem to have an amazing knack for it. So talk to us a little bit about first. Just give everybody just kind of a 2 seconds on your company here.
So Smart Digital, we started 2011, and the purpose was how do we change traditional advertisement and make it interactive? How do we change that static feel and make it inspiring? How do we create advertisement that would connect, so more connective advertisement, and then control the consumer's experience? And that's really what we're focusing on, using touch technology, video, sound, and
so give me an example. Give me an example of what are you doing?
So ideally, the best example would be you're walking down Michigan Avenue right in Pioneer Court. You're going to work and you see a machine that says, hey, do you have breakfast yet? And it actually shows a hyper-local deal from Groupon that you could touch and actually buy on the spot and walk 5 doors down and pick up a deal and have breakfast. So the idea was, how do I inspire someone to engage, and then how do I control the experience? So this case, I inspired them to touch, and then I gave them a deal, which I controlled where they were going, and then they went there and had a great deal.
So okay.
Well, that blows the first question I was going to ask about you, because
you would ask where to go to breakfast?
No, no. Actually, I did see something on TV about that, though. You made a deal with Groupon I saw in the Chicago Tribune, and I was like, wow, now we're having you coming on. So I was going to ask you about that. So now I see how it works. So
that was the idea. So Groupon, and I can't speak for them, but I'm going to assume that they thought that having interactive activity at the street level could help them grow potential new business.
So I don't care about Groupon. I care about Tasty Trade.
Sure.
Okay. So how do I? So I advertise right now. We have, obviously we're a small startup. Well, we have 40 people. Believe it or not, we own our own production company. We're a small company. Just started a year ago, and we advertise right now in McCarran Airport and behind home field at U.S. Cellular. I'm curious.
Or home plate, if you like.
If
you play the sport of baseball.
Sorry.
But go ahead.
I'm sorry.
And there's
Soldier Stadium. Okay. If I wanted to use you guys, how can I use you guys to help build the Tasty Trade audience?
Sure. So probably a good example would be we're one of the only guys you can actually engage a consumer with full video and interactivity, and then they could walk away with it. So if you ran an ad, you'd be able to tell people about the product, have them touch the screen, and have them leave with something. We conduct what's called a handoff. So at the point of contact, I give them the ability to take something with them. So in this case, it may be an iPhone app. It may be a clip to one of the videos.
Is this based on a kiosk?
It's a display, interactive display. So we don't use the word kiosk too often.
Sorry.
But
that's if you're like over 50, right? Is that what you use?
I didn't want to go there.
Interactive display.
I didn't want to go there.
So when Tom's sitting at the bus stop, we can have like a pop-up of Tom going, hey, what are you doing here when you could be going on the Tasty Trade site?
I apologize. I showed my age. Interactive display.
Yeah. So to even go further, so you could actually be talking to people as they're walking downtown Navy Pier, Soldier Field. So you could actually introduce yourself to the customer on the street, and that's really what we're doing.
Like a hologram? I mean,
video, real video. Real video.
Okay, so
right now, this should be airing. We should be airing this right now.
So give me, where are these things?
So Soldiers Field, Toyota Park, Michigan Avenue, the Tribune Building, right embedded into the Tribune Building, Water Tower. We're going into 900 North, the airport soon. So just growing really quick.
So are you a Chicago company?
Yes. Born and raised, Pilsen area, Chicago Public Schools. Started my first company right out of college, sold that, and then continue to sort of evolve and just drop new companies out.
So you can get into Midway too then if you so do a deal, right? Because you have to be a Chicago company to be at Midway, right? Do they still have that?
Well, no, but we're working with the advertisers that control the advertising in the airport, so we already signed a deal with them to go ahead and start moving into the airports, potentially fourth quarter this year.
So where are you located?
We're at 18th, and we have two offices, one on 18th in Indiana, and we just moved into 200 South Michigan Avenue.
Hey, so you stayed true to the neighborhood. Down on
Absolutely.
18th Street.
Absolutely.
Good for you. Yeah, I used to play basketball.
So
at
how many
16.
people work for your company?
So right now we just started. So we officially launched last year, August. We have about 35 machines on the street, and we have about 11 people working for us.
And I saw you did your first round already.
We just closed part of our first round. It was 2.7 million, and we have another 1.3 that we're closing in the next 60 days.
Congratulations! And who did you raise those with? Was that venture or was it private?
Venture, and we used a company out of St. Louis, Advantage Capital, and then a bank out here called Metropolitan Capital.
Very
So
nice.
down the street.
Is that your first capital raise?
It is. It is.
It's a good feeling the first time you do it. You feel like, okay, because you know that somebody's validated. You're missing. You're
exactly right.
Mission.
You're
Yeah,
exactly
when I raised money for the first time, it was 2005, and it was $22.5 million, and I was like, somebody just validated something I've been working really hard for, so it felt good.
Feels great.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's just like because
Your kids still don't love you, but you feel good about what you're doing at work.
the crazy thing about it was I raised the money. I was so excited about this, and then I walked out of the office and nobody gave a crap.
The bus came on the corner.
Yeah.
Nothing changed.
I got
right?
home. Everyone's
Still had
bitching
to
to
drop
me.
the garbage.
Like nothing changed. Like
Dog crapped on the floor.
for 5 minutes, I walked outside. I was like so happy. I was like, you know what?
You looked at the statue of yourself on the corner.
Well, you've been working every day. You work 20 hours a day. You're freaking killing yourself. Okay,
stressed out.
you've done something, and then all of a sudden you raise money, and you're like and at the time we did it was on $100 million valuation, and we're like, wow, this is I'm really proud of myself. And then you walk outside, and 5 minutes later, it's all over.
So how do you take over the rest of the world and not just to Chicago? Because, I mean, we're known here in Chicago, but how do you get, like, New York, L.A.? You're going to go every place?
So we have 10 markets lined up. We already started Miami, so we actually dropped down a few machines in Miami. We're focused on New York next. The idea is it's a land grab. And what we did was we built technology that would change traditional advertising. So the guys we thought would give us the biggest or the hardest time, the Clear Channels, the Titans, we're actually talking to and negotiating to see if we could sort of build deals to help them expand. Now, they're big companies.
Now, cable companies, they really love change. That's always been...
So there's a slight learning curve on this, but they get it. They get that in order, like, for instance, the JC Decos of the world, they own the bus shelters, all the advertising.
Sure.
They can't put another bus shelter on the floor, but they can change the offering, and it can become interactive and engaging and grow new lines of revenue, interactive, retargeting, that type of stuff.
So I'm interested. Let's talk. Because I think this is one of the fun things to do on the show is that we can actually have a discussion on how business takes place. I mean, it's interesting. So I'm interested because we like the idea that people can. For example, every single day we do a bootstrapping interview with a new entrepreneur. We don't care what the business is.
Sure.
And we also have lots of guests on, like the guest that was just here prior, just people talking about the market stuff. I think that would be really interesting to push out just little segments, little pieces of that segment, and just, hey, you can watch this live right now, that kind of thing. How do we go? What are the next steps for somebody like me?
So next steps, we would just we'd have one of our sales reps come in and sort of negotiate, what type of app or offering we're building, because we have a rate card with about 12 different types of products. But then we would just figure it out.
And does it boil down to, in the end, like, is it a pay for play type thing, or am I just gonna take a shot?
What do you mean take a shot?
Meaning do I get some kind of a guarantee because you're new as to how many people are going to come through, or otherwise, like, do I pay based on performance?
So the way you pay is typical advertising runs on CPM. So
sure.
And in this case, what we'll do.
But how do you measure CPMs?
So you couldn't do that before, but you can now. So the outdoor would have CPM based, no metrics. Us, because it's interactive and digital, we can control how many people touch, how many people ran through it, collect data, retarget them.
So it's like you're almost paying for a click as opposed, like an actual click as opposed to just a view.
We still use CPMs, but we have the ability to use digital metrics because it's an interactive and digital product. But we still sell it as a CPM.
What's it look
because
like?
we're getting eyeballs. We're getting eyeballs in the highest traffic areas in Chicago. If you look at Navy Pier, 12 million people. Water Tower, 18 million people a year. So we were very selective on where they would go, opposed to just randomly placing in places that we wouldn't know if anyone was going to.
How big are they, though? Like
46, 55-inch display, so as large as the screen behind you. So in most cases.
It's a very interesting concept. I mean, you're obviously limited at the number but what it is, it creates kind of a crowd mentality, which I like, which is like you're watching somebody do something, you're like, why is this person touching that screen?
That's exactly what happens. So we have an app, we have a photo app called Smart Photo, and we have 30 odd machines. We have about 100,000 people taking photos and sending them right to Facebook on a monthly basis. So the transaction rate's through the roof. We have, and on average, we have 3 people in front of a display during one solid transaction, which is about 3 minutes long. In one transaction, they do about 4 services. So they're looking at news, they're sending a photo, they're taking transportation, and maybe they're looking for a movie to go see. So we know that, and then the dwell time is about 6.5 hours a day. So for 6.5 hours a day, people are using the devices. Each device has a 46-inch screen. We have a second display on top of it that's always running ads. We have Wi-Fi and hotspots built into it. So if you go to Michigan Avenue, right where Marilyn Monroe is, there's a 46-inch screen on the street there that people are using, and we're able to advertise but engage the consumer. That's the difference.
Yeah, I like that actually because and there's a call to action right there, and there's a call to action, but I more like the crowd, just like the crowd mentality.
Like everybody like looking up at the person.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Like,
exactly.
looking at
I like it.
I'm looking at that.
And you'll see it if you look at some of the visuals, the photos. You'll see the crowd of people around them, kind of like what's going on, and it really builds that that energy to go touch it.
Yeah, we got to try this, Tony. We can. We're going to talk to one of your salespeople, and we're going to see how it fits into the only because I have a tendency to either, if I like companies that come onto the show, sometimes we'll invest in them, sometimes we will use them. And sometimes it just doesn't fit because of the type of business we're in. But I think, to give, because we're local here in Chicago, to give people a view of what we're doing, it'd be kind of cool.
I'd love to do something with you, just to pilot it. Forget paying for it, just figuring out to get a clip. We do news, so we actually
one word of advice. So when somebody's offering to pay for something, the next thing out of your mind, just as a salesman, the next thing out of your mind is you don't say, you know what, don't worry about it, we'll just pilot, you can do it for free. That's not what comes out of your mind.
He has too much money.
he might.
He has way too much money. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, I'd love to pilot something.
We're still a startup. We would love to.
Absolutely.
And I think that because it's good to support other small, innovative companies in Chicago, especially companies that are changing the way we currently do stuff. And we're just trying to change financial media and financial content because we think that it needs to be changed.
I agree with you.
Well, you're in a great space because advertisement, they've been going through so many changes, but with no other avenue to find something new. This really
there's typically
great.
a couple of different buckets, whether it's out of home or whether it's web. In this case, we kind of are hybrid, so they get to spend money from both sides. The other thing we have is we have what we call Elevate Glass. So we talked about a device. Now, how about embedding interactivity on glass on Michigan Avenue?
Sure.
So on a window, so people are just touching the glass.
So that's that whole minority
report.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that it hasn't been done already. I've walked through. You see so many places. You're like, why isn't this glass interactive? I'm not kidding. Look at all, and I know the costs and everything else. But you have to realize most of these firms just don't get it. But I don't understand why glass is interactive.
Right.
I mean, at some point, maybe it becomes overwhelming, but I don't get it. How much revenue? Can you talk revenue at all yet, or is it too early?
It's too early.
Okay.
So August till now, we're still deploying. We have 100 machines to be deployed by end of July. So we have 30
deployed. It's like you got an army movement going there, huh?
Pretty much. Yeah.
And when you do a startup, guess who's deploying them?
Yeah, that's right.
You can see me with the wrench out there, putting them down.
How are you good with a hacksaw, right?
Don't kid yourself. Okay. Tony's taking out the garbage here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, just this morning I turned on the dishwasher.
And whatever it takes.
Got to.
You're a man's man. All right, so this has been a great discussion today.
Your statue first, then I clean the
Always
the
watch
dishes.
the statue
That's
first.
Right.
George Burciaga, thank you very much for coming in here. And you're Chicago-based. We are going to, first of all, I wouldn't be surprised if we're not using you guys very shortly, and I'm looking forward to having that discussion. And the second thing is, I mean, we have to track and watch your growth. And so, maybe every 6 months or whatever it is to come back on the show and talk to us about how things are going.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. And I have to at least say thank you to the Chicagoland Chambers of the World, the Chicago Entrepreneur Centers, all the guys that have been supportive to us, guys like you that we come on and you offer to sort of work with us or allow us the opportunity. Thank you to everybody for just
Chicago's
giving us a shot.
An unbelievable place. Now we had Kevin on last week, Kevin Wheeler on last week, and
great guy.
Yeah, sure. And we've had a million, of those. And I'm hoping we have one of your partners, Eric, on next week. So we'll see. So we'll see what happens. 9:37. We're back in 2 minutes. It's good trade, bad trade. We don't have to say members only anymore.
No, you're already there.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun. Just hang in there. We're looking Microsoft. We're looking
EM Strangle. A few others.
I know, but what were we looking at this morning, Tony? I've just already
Microsoft.
I tossed out the piece of paper. No, there was more. We looked at Microsoft. We looked at IBM. There's a bunch of different stocks today that low into the range, attractive with high volatilities right now. We're back in 2 minutes to talk about some strategies there. Thanks, George.
Thank you.